The Lead. Sponsored by Lavish Boutique, Lavish Coffee, Jasper Veterinary Clinic, Jasper Bone and Joint, and Carl Cannon Chevrolet Buick GMC.
Welcome everyone to The Lead. I'm Greg Tinker, and it is our good pleasure today to have the Hollingsworths with us, and Mia and Vess. And for those of you who follow Jasper basketball, you know that name very well. So welcome, Vess. Welcome, Mia, to The Lead.
This is great. Thank you.
We're really glad that you're here today. And Mia, want to begin by talking about what's coming up on Friday morning at Wallace Hansville in the Sweet 16. So you guys won the area. That's always a goal when undefeated. You won the sub-regional game. Now you're in the regional on Friday morning. Talk to us a little bit about that.
We're trying to take it one game at a time. We're trying not to get too ahead of ourselves, so we're all really focused on Friday. And they're really tall. They can shoot well. So in practice, we've been scrimmaging a lot of the JV boys, and we've practiced on not getting into too much help because we got to stay out on the shooters. And then they also run a 2-2-1 press. So the boys have been scrimmaging us in a 2-2-1 press. So we've kind of made some adjustments to how we're going to handle that. But I'm really excited, and I hope we play good.
Well, like a coach's kid, doesn't it?
It does. It absolutely does, because you focus on that one game and do things well. So yeah, she analyzed that pretty well. She might follow in your steps. You were a good player. She's a good player, so she may follow in your steps as a coach. So just look, this doesn't have anything to do with the rest of what we're going to talk about, but have you schooled the boys a time or two and you let them know?
Yeah. Talk trash a little bit sometimes.
That's part of the fun of that,
Yes,
isn't
sir.
it? When you drain a three in front of them or steal the ball and get a layup. Well, I'm glad that the program is coming together to help you guys have success, because I know the whole school, the whole community's invested in what's going on and in our expectations that we'll win Friday and then next week and then end up in Birmingham in the Final Four. Well, let's go back to the early years. Vess, you played at a high level. You played at Hamilton, Walker College, a year at Alabama. So you played a lot of basketball. You've coached a lot of basketball. And then obviously you have a daughter. And so as she's growing up and takes an interest in basketball, talk a little bit about that as a dad, and as you're watching her grow up and you kind of think to yourself, hey, she's got some ability.
I think the biggest part was just having her around it. I got out of coaching for a while, and she was really young until she got old enough to decide if she wanted to tag along or not. So I got back into coaching, and she would come to practice, and there wouldn't be a time that we were doing things at practice that she wouldn't be on the side with the ball and dribbling and shooting and trying to dribble two balls at a young age and doing things that she'd seen other players do and other basketball players practice. And those are things, I guess, just exposing her to basketball, having her in the gym. And if she wanted to pick it up, it was kind of on her. And she did. She would listen to things coaches talked about. I remember a time in particular when I was at James Clemens, I was working with Amber DeLine, and we were scouting a team at Austin, and they had a girl that went on to play at Auburn and kept talking about this girl's step back that she could do. And 2 days later, at a third grader is on the side doing a step back I'd never seen. And Coach DeLine said, Mia, where'd you get that from? And she said, well, Coach, you said the step back was pretty good. I figured I need to get one. So even at that age, she just was around it. She was exposed to it. And I think a lot of times that's probably the best thing to do, is expose kids to things. And if they like it, enjoy it. And obviously if they have a gift to do it, you want to continue to give them avenues to do that. And so she was from a young age, and she's always had a ball in her hand. And that's just we've just kind of progressed at a slow pace on from there. But a lot of it was due on her.
Sure. Well, do you know a guy named Pistol Pete Maravich?
Yes.
Okay, so when you're talking about that, I'm thinking of Pistol Pete at the old LSU Coliseum with his dad dribbling up and down the stadium steps and all around.
That's one of my favorite movies.
Oh, is that right? Okay, well, you know very well.
Pete.
Well, obviously you've picked up on that too because of your ball handling skills. So your dad saw that in you. So as you're growing up and you're doing that, talk a little bit about your love for that and wanting to be around it.
I think the first time I remember going to the gym, he was playing pickup, And so I kind of was like, I had like my scooter and I was like riding around the court and I was like, well, I guess I could shoot one. And I like would keep shooting. I just airballed and airballed and airballed the whole time. But just being around, I loved being around it, like, because I was around all the older girls and I just loved being around it.
So they kind of adopted you somewhere along the way,
Yes.
probably, and encouraged you.
Yes.
So you are very skilled. Most people, when they think of you, I think of you as a shooter, because you are. I mean, you are a superb shooter, no doubt about that. You can score, but you have a well-rounded game. So and we can talk in a minute about that. But Vess, when she's growing up, let's just say a dad, you're giving advice now to a dad who's got a daughter or son growing up.
Sure.
And sees that they maybe have some ability. What would be your advice? Who taught her shooting form and that kind of thing? How do you refine those skills?
Well, her shooting form was all on her. There was things I did to tweak it at a young age. You know, all kids, when they first start shooting, they're doing everything they can do to get the ball up there. And I remember one of my first coaches that helped me at Hamilton when she was even a 7th grader, talked about where her elbow's out and her both hands are on the ball. And I'm like, well, she weighs 87 pounds.
Right.
Look at the rotation. So she had an unbelievable God-given skill to the rotation on the ball was great, even at a young age. And so I just kind of left that alone. And at her age, she somehow started getting it in the right positions. And I would suggest, hey, do this, do that. And after the 3rd or 4th time of it not working, she would finally listen and she'd start tweaking it a little bit. And so a lot of it was God-given talent. I argue with coaches all the time that to be able to shoot the ball as well as she can shoot it, to stand from 22 feet and know even at a young age how hard to shoot and how hard I think that's a gift. But now she's crafted that gift and worked on it. But just in the form and the shooting goes, just trying to make sure, you know, she had the fundamentals. But the most important thing to me at that age was rotation. And as far as her ball, she's a way better ball handler than I ever dreamed of being, which was the one thing that I knew I lacked as a player. If I could have had the ball handling skills she had, the places I could have got would have been unbelievable. And again, at her age, when she was so small in the 3rd grade, she can't get it to a 10-foot rim. So she's dribbling. She's dribbling around the house. She's dribbling at practice. So I think of a lot of those things of just doing it, the repetition of doing it, and wanting to learn to dribble left-handed and dribble 2 basketballs at the same time at a young age. Just those things that were just, I was there. I saw things that, insufficiencies in my game, but also to see and give her access to look at Steph Curry, which was one of her favorite players. Look at how Dirk Nowitzki shoots the ball, which was a good player. And going back to my old days, look at Larry Bird, how he held the ball and the way he stood and the way his bodies were angled. And then this day and age with Luka playing, and she loves Luka, and Caitlin Clark, obviously, which I think she plays a lot like. So I think just surrounding her, not just bombarding her with that stuff, but just kind of having that around and throw it in her ear and, hey, watch this, and hey, let's look at this game, or we would go to this game, and just having her around that, I think, was a way that helped her develop a little bit.
So as you're growing and developing, talk about some of the things that you did. Your dad has already alluded to that, but that you did and that you enjoyed doing that has helped make you the complete player that you are.
I obviously love shooting, so like I'd rather go like in a game if I got a fast break, much rather shoot a 3 than a layup. And sometimes Coach Laney he'll give me the pull, and I'm like, okay. So obviously in the gym, every time I go to the gym, just shoot. That's all I do. That's what I loved. And even like at practice now, if we're like doing layups or something, I like maybe back up a little bit and shoot a jumper instead of layup. But that's the main thing I loved in practice, was just shooting.
Yeah, but you're a complete player.
Yes, sir.
And so if there are younger girls who are listening to this, talk about what it takes to develop ball handling skills and passing skills, because you see the floor so well. And if somebody's open, they need to look out, because you're going to get them the ball, right? Because
Yes,
you can see that smallest gap and find whoever's open and has the best shot. Talk a little bit about that.
I think growing up playing with like boys, and even I would play with like him and all of his buddies that coached and taught at Hamilton. Like I would play with them with the guys' ball, and obviously got to throw a little quicker pass here to get past them. So also this year, like I've never had the team that I do have, and so my passing had to been really good, because I pass a lot, because if I pass it, I know, hey, she's gonna score. So, I do think the passing has got much better this year just because I've had to do it a bunch, but the ball handling is just from repetition, and even at home they probably got sick of me because I'm just dribble all the
Sure.
time. So,
Well, it's paid big dividends because you've set some records along the way. Talk a little. I know you don't want to talk about yourself necessarily, but just for everybody, for posterity's sake, talk a little bit about the records. And it's okay. You don't have to be humble at this point. Just as they say, just the facts, ma'am. Just the
Yeah,
facts.
right.
So
Okay.
tell us a little bit about the records.
Well, I think the biggest one, obviously, to me is 3,000 because by 7th grade year, I was like, oh, everybody scores 1,000 points. I want 2,000 points. And then my 8th grade year, how many was it?
I think it was over.
It was like 650
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
And I was like, if I did that like 4 more times, I could score 3,000. So then that was kind of the goal. And then the leading scorer at Hamilton before me was,
Tanya Tice, who won a state championship
Tanya
at
Tice.
Hamilton and went on and played at Auburn and Alabama.
and she
actually,
had like
so-
2,000 something.
Yeah.
And so breaking her record was really special. She like sent me a letter in the mail, and so that was probably my favorite one. But then at Hayden in our, what was it, the first or second area
It
game?
was a second area game.
Second time we played Hayden in area, we kind of went into the game knowing like, hey, we could break the 3-point record. And so Coach Laney was like, everybody just shoot threes. Like, and so we were like, okay, well, we were all hot at the same time. And I'd already made like 4 or 5 and I had missed one. So I was kind of like, if I get it, I'm shooting it. And so I never even thought, like, I was just going for the state team record. I never thought it would be like a personal record until after I did it. So that was kind of special. But I'd say 3,000 was more special because I'd been striving for it for so long.
Okay, so you know what you did in terms of the number of threes you made, but everybody else may not. So talk about it specifically what that was.
Okay, well, we, the record was it 22 or 23?
22 is a
22
team.
is the record, so we had to get 23. We ended up tying it with 22. But I was 10 for 12.
Yeah.
And I was 9 for 10 in the first quarter, and that was the state record. So most threes made in a
So
quarter.
it's one of those nights, anybody who's ever played any kind of sport, whatever it is, but basketball, when you just know when it leaves your hand, right? This is in.
Yes,
Get me
sir.
the ball because you know this is
Yes,
in.
sir.
So it's been fun along the way, obviously, to get your name in the record books. We talked a little about it at the beginning, though. There's another thing that is out there in front that you mentioned your teammates. We've got an accumulation of talent on our team that as long as I've been around Walker Jasper basketball, we've not had that accumulation of talent. Talk just a little, you don't have to go into detail, but talk a little bit about this senior group and what it's like to be a part of this team. And I know Missy plays a big part in that. She's not yet a senior, but talk a little bit about the camaraderie among the team.
When I moved here last year, the only person I knew sort of was Idasia Mercer. She played a year of travel ball with me. So my first day of practice, I knew nobody. And like we were used to competing against each other, so I didn't know if they like hated me or so it kind of took a little bit, but we're all best friends. Like the other day we all of us got in my car and literally there was 12 of us in the car. So it's not like a group here and a group here, like we are all like this close.
Yeah.
And I think that's super special because like we do everything for each other.
Yeah.
And so like in practice, like I'm going to bust my tail for her and she's going to bust her tail for me. And it just goes back and forth.
Sure. Well, it is. We've enjoyed it as a fan and as a coach, former coach and commentator and all. Man, it's just been so much fun watching you guys play, and the whole city, I think, and folks surrounding the city are. I know there's some interested folks in Hamilton,
Sure.
but it's been a delight to watch you guys play. So now, then you're a senior. You're up against the last few games of your career. Talk about some highlights from you started as a 7th grader. And so you've been playing basketball a long time. And I know when you started as a 7th grader, you're thinking, those senior girls are so old and it'll take forever to get there. Now here you are. So along the way, there's been some things that have been highlights. Talk a little bit about a couple of those.
So he started coaching when I was in the 5th grade at Hamilton, the girls. So I was like the water girl. So like I would hand water to these girls and then like 2 years later I'm on the court with them. So my first game on varsity, I played 7 or 8 games on middle school. And then our first varsity game was at Marion County. Before the game, he may could tell the story better than I can, but before the game, he came to me and he's like, don't worry, like, you're not starting. I'm not going to put you in any bad situations. And what quarter was it?
Start of the fourth, I believe.
Start of the fourth quarter, we were tied or
I think
down.
we were down about 6.
We were down 6. And he put me in, and I was like, okay, well, here we go. He told me he wasn't going to do this. And I ended up having 14.
Just before you tell, you've forgiven him by now,
Yes.
right? Okay, all right,
Yes.
good. We're good
It
on
was
that.
all part of the process. I mean, it was all part of the
I ended up-
experience is what it was.
Sure.
I ended up having 14 in the fourth quarter, and we won by like 2 or 3. So that was kind of, after that, I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll be pretty good. And I'm trying to think of like other big moments. I think the Winona game last year in the
It
was
was a pretty big game.
that was a really big game, winning by 2 to go to Wallace. But in the locker room, we really had a huge celebration for that one. But that first game was really the biggest highlight that I've had.
Yeah. Well, what a start, to go into a 7th grader, go into a 4th quarter and end up scoring 14 and your team wins. So you kind of knew at that point, right?
Well, she had a calmness about her. She won't say this, but my assistant coach, who helped coach me in high school, he said, our best ball handler is a 5th grade water girl. So that was when she was the manager. And during that whole game, as she's 7th grade, he's nudging me. You got to put her in. You got to put her in. And so I did, and she handled it really well. And to tell you the calmness, and I think she gets a lot of this from her Uncle Gary that played football at Alabama. I told her that. She remembered what I told her. So I remember that she was shooting free throws to, I think, tie the game or go up. And she looked at me before they handed her the ball and said, "You lied to me," and then made 2 free throws. So yeah, I thought just the calmness and demeanor that she had, and you can see it times now when she gets on the court, and I know when to talk to her and when not. At the sub-region game the other night, went out to talk to her before pregame, and she just had this look, and I'm like, okay, she's fine. So yeah, there were small things throughout her young career that I knew she had the potential to be a special player, and she's done things like that, and she won't brag on herself. We look back at when we were at Hamilton, it had been 25 years since Hamilton had won an area, and we won it two of the 3 years we were there. We got to a sub-region game and hosted a sub-region game for the first time in 30 years. We made it to regionals for the first time in 30 years. So she doesn't like to toot her own horn, but some things that she's done has been really, really amazing as a basketball player, and to help bring basketball kind of back to Hamilton, and for her to come over here and give up the comforts of that to be a part of something that could possibly be bigger. Man, I was so proud of her to do that, because it she could easily stayed around Hamilton, average 27, 30, same as Missy.
Sure.
But for those kids to come here and try to be a part of something special, to say, hey, this kid's got talent and they have talent. What if we put our talents together? And I just think that speaks volumes for her as a basketball player to want to do that and have a chance to win, because we're all playing because we want to win.
Yeah, no question about that. And as her coach and as her dad, is there a highlight or two? Obviously, that first game sticks out because it was of what happened. But is there a highlight or two that you can think of that you want to share?
One of my favorites is our first sub-region game we hosted. We're playing Aniana at Hamilton, and they had been keying on her. And of course, my genius coaching. I'm coming up with all these ideas and things to get her open, and we're down by 10 at half, and start the second half. We're still running some of the same stuff, and she comes over during her free throw and gives me a tip on what we need to do for coaching, and I did exactly what she said, and I think she exploded for 25 in the second half, and we won. And in my mind right there, and that was 10th grade, I guess, I'm going, wow. I said, sometimes Dad just needs to shut up and have a Diet Coke and watch her play, and but yeah, there's things like that she'll make plays or make passes, and even as a young kid, I can remember getting rebounds, and she could always hear my voice when I'm coaching, and I could just say things like left corner could be open, and not say throw it, because I think a lot of times we tell kids, hey, throw it, they're open, and you immediately throw it. I would just give her hints if she could hear it, and man, she'd fire that ball, and she'd fire here. So just those things, and the understanding of basketball that she has, I think, to me is one of the things I enjoy watching her play.
Well, you've been privileged to do that for a long time now, and so getting down to the end of your basketball careers we talked about. So obviously everybody wants to know, okay, Mia, what are you going to do, right? You've got this basketball skill, you love the game, you've played it for a long time. So are you at liberty to share with us what the next step is or what you think it is?
Well, I've actually committed to Wallace for golf,
Okay.
but I am planning to play basketball as well at Wallace.
Yeah.
And then hope to go into a 4-year for either one of those after Wallace.
So you're a pretty good golfer too, obviously.
Yes.
Okay, well, good. Who knows? One day on the LPGA, you know. Dad wouldn't mind that,
No, I
would he?
wouldn't mind at all. I make a decent caddy too. I'm a pretty good caddy, so.
I should have known that with your hand-eye coordination. I should have known you were a good golfer, right? So you're going to be at Wallace. You already know that, and play golf. And then I'm sure the basketball coach there's thrilled that you said, well, you know what? I'll throw in basketball along with the golf. And I know y'all are happy too because that's close enough to see her play.
Absolutely.
And you having played in this conference your own self, at Walker College,
Absolutely.
as we say back in the day.
Yeah.
Well, that's good news. I'm glad to hear that. Obviously, you're also an excellent student, so that helps. And this is thinking a little bit ahead too, and you don't, I guess, really know. But if you had a pick of somewhere, let's just say golf is good to you, do you have somewhere in mind after that you think, boy, this would be a great place to play golf?
Auburn.
Okay.
That would be my first pick. So.
Okay. Now, coming from an Alabama family, I don't know how that's going to go
Well,
over.
we're so confused in our household. We grew up Auburn fans, and I have an older brother that graduated from Auburn. I got uncles and aunts and cousins that graduated from Auburn. And Gary came along, and kind of threw that monkey wrench in going to Alabama. So, no, we've always had family go to Auburn games, and it's just such a cool campus, and it's such a family-oriented campus. And we went this past year for a game against Samford, a football game, and she's like, man, this seems like a cool place to be. So who knows? Maybe if she keeps developing both, maybe she'll have a shot at either one, which would be great. So.
Yeah, maybe you get to play in the new arena at Auburn,
Absolutely.
right? That's a pretty good place to play basketball, so
Absolutely.
that'd be okay too. You could be a dual athlete. Maybe they'd let you do that.
That's right.
Well, I know this, that as a person who's watched a lot of basketball across the years and coached a little bit, I don't know that I have seen a better player come through this area than you. And I'm not trying to pump you up. I'm just telling the truth, right? Because, and here's the reason, is that you do everything so well. You're a good defender. You defensively, you block a lot of shots. And I think maybe some folks don't notice that, but you block a lot of shots. So you defend well, and then your offensive skills are just off the chart, and you've just been a delight to watch these past 2 years. And before we ever started, tell those who are watching this that my first time to see you play was when you came from Hamilton to Jasper to play, and just a single game that season. I think you guys came here and played. And I saw Mia play, and she had that step back that she learned in the 3rd grade. And so not many girls can do that. And so she dribbles up at the top of the key, takes a step back behind the 3, and swish. And I think you had about 30 that day. And I just remember telling folks afterwards, I said, there's this girl at Hamilton. She can flat out play.
Thank you.
And then when I heard she was coming to Jasper, I was super excited because now we have an opportunity to do something in our city that has not been done. So that's our hope now.
Absolutely.
So any last thing you want to share, Mia, Vess, any?
I just one of the reasons we came to Jasper is by playing junior college here. The community and the people at Jasper are always just so eager to put their arms around you and make you feel like you're from here. I know when I was here in junior college, it felt that way. And to have her to experience that at a high school and have kids at high school, cheering for her and recognize her in the hallway, that's not just athletes. And then the townspeople that she's gotten to know and that we've gotten to know and gotten closer to again that we used to know, it's just been wonderful. And so to be here, and we say this all the time at the house, we wish we would have came here 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And 5 years ago. And so, but just the support that this town gives, not just athletics, but businesses in town. It's just such a good community, and we're just happy to be a part of it.
Well, we're certainly glad that you made that decision and that you came to be a part of it. And I know we're not supposed to jump ahead. Okay, so this is me. This is not you.
Okay,
This is
okay.
me, not you. Okay.
Okay.
So when we win the state championship, we'll have you back and we'll talk about that
Awesome.
whole experience.
Awesome.
So just prepare for that, okay?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
You know, without a vision, the people perish, right? So we got to have a vision of that. So I have that vision already.
I
and-
Absolutely.
I did plan to stay and watch Pleasant Grove and Ramsey at 12 after our game Friday, so I may be moving ahead too.
Good, good. Well, we're excited about the opportunity Friday morning and then beyond that. And just again, I want to say thank you to the two of you,
Thank you.
because I know it was a bit of a courageous decision to leave the community that you're in, where all your family is, and where you're having such great success, to come to kind of an unknown to a certain extent, and to lend yourself to that and to others, so that there's this opportunity now for everybody. So thank you for the sacrifice you made in doing that, and for all of the enjoyment that you have brought to the city of Jasper, all of us who love basketball.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, it's been great today. Oh yeah, okay. Thank you, Ryan. Ryan's reminded me. Mia, you both of you can sign the lead poster up here.
Awesome.
Let's go.
Now we're going to auction this off at some point down the road. So
Nice.
Mia, with your autograph on there, that will increase the price
Absolutely.
exponentially. So
Absolutely.
just sign it however, wherever
Okay.
you want, and
Cool.
Vess follow up and sign it as well,
Absolutely.
since you have been coaching her since 7th grade.
Absolutely.
So I guess she's signing it now. So Vess, since that 7th grade year, have you been telling her the truth since then? Since you mentioned Dad, you lied to me.
She has learned to read through the dad and Coach Fluff. So
Right.
I think she reads me better than probably I know myself. So
Sure. So Mia, is Uncle Gary a part of this as well? Does he give you talk about things you should do or whatever?
Yes, sir. His daughter actually texted me this morning and was asking about when she needed to buy her ticket so they could all come to the game Friday. So
Okay. Well, we don't need to go into Alabama stuff, but I remember the phenomenal day that Uncle Gary had at Ole Miss when we were way behind and ended up winning one day, back in the day, as
back
they
in the
say.
day, that's right.
So
Absolutely.
it's good to have somebody like that on your side pulling for you as well, right? And I guess Roll Tide. I don't know. Well, it's been a lot of fun to be with the Hollingsworth today, and Friday morning, 9 o'clock. At Wallace Hansville, the Jasper girls against West Point.
sir.
And so if you can make your way there, we'd love to have half the gym at least filled with Jasper citizens.
That's right.
So do your best to be there. And then we hope the next week, and then we hope after that into Birmingham for the Final Four. So this is Greg Tinker for The Lead saying good afternoon.
The Lead, sponsored by Lavish Boutique, Lavish Coffee, Jasper Veterinary Clinic, Jasper Bone and Joint, and Carl Cannon Chevrolet Buick GMC.